How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Orange Thumbstick podcast. This is episode 20. My name's Dave, and as always, I am joined by the regular duo, Mr. Bobby Fales. How are you?
Not too bad, mate. And yourself?
Very well, thank you. And Mr. Russ, Mr. Agrius Rage himself, are you okay?
I am fantastic, mate. Thank you.
Ooh. Better than last week. You were a bit hungover last week.
I was, weren't I? Yeah. I think Bobby's still not talking to me. Are you still talking to me, Bob, or not?
No. Go talk to your other mate.
I will do.
Oh, bless him. Bless him. Yeah, so a few things to go through. We've got some more loot box news. It seems to be a regular thing that we're discussing in the podcast recently. We've got some news about our GameBlast plans coming up soon this weekend, and a little thing that we discussed. All three of us have sort of gone through with the issue that you had with the motocross game, Russ. We're going to be discussing that as well.
Yes.
So, but first and foremost, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a little bit Tiles. It's a new game that is out on the 20th of February, I believe. Played some Shopkeep, which is out on the 2nd of March. And I also played some Claybook along with the usual Rocket League. We're back playing that again. Russ finally got out of his huff and started playing again. And I've been taking advantage of Game Pass and playing Mad Max.
Hang on a minute, Russ got out of his huff. You're the one not talking to him because he went out last week without you.
Yeah, but Russ went in a huff. Russ went in a huff when we played Rocket League, and he pulled a big huff with the game and stopped playing it.
Yeah. You can't play a game when your teammates can't play it, you know what I mean? When it's a team
game.
Yeah,
we'll go. Yeah, we'll go.
Russ, what about you? What have you been engaging in?
A bit of everything, mate. Kingdom Come Deliverance. I only played a couple of hours worth of that, but I would like to get back into it. What else have I been playing? A handful of the ID games coming up this week. So yeah, a bit of everything.
Fantastic. I've been playing Overdriven Reloaded Special Edition, and the review for that should be up on the site at about the same time the podcast should go out. Traditional top-down retro shooter, sort of similar to the sort of games like Xenon, if you ever remember that from the Atari ST days, and very similar to that. But the review should be up by the time this podcast is released anyway. Yeah, so wanted to go through, obviously we've talked about loot boxes pretty regular over the last few weeks because ever since the end of last year it's become a bit of a prominent issue and something that has it's become more widely known by more official bodies, you could say. So news released this week is that the US Senator Maggie Hassan sent an open letter to the Entertainment Software Rating Board, ESRB, urging the industry's self-regulatory body to, and I quote, review the completeness of the board's ratings process and policies as they relate to loot boxes and to take into account potential harm these types of microtransactions may have on children. It's also got another quote here. Basically, I mean, everyone knows what loot boxes offer. It's randomised in-game rewards. You basically take a gamble when you buy them as to what items you receive. And the Senator, again, and I quote, has said, psychological principles and enticing mechanics that closely mirror those often found in casinos and games of chance. As the letter reads, while acknowledging robust debate over whether loot boxes should be considered gambling, Hassan argues that they are both expensive habits and use similar psychological principles and thus deserve extra scrutiny. The potential harm is real. Hassan has urged the ESRB in the letter to examine whether loot boxes are being marketed in an ethical and transparent way that adequately protects the developing minds of young children from predatory practices. She also asks the board to collect and publish data on how developers and players use the loot boxes. So, Russ, I'll start with you. This is a good thing, yeah?
Well, yeah, I mean, I brought this up last week's podcast that maybe Peggy or ESRB or the likes should get involved in, like I said, but you got your violence and whatnot on the back of your game boxes. It should say the same whether it contains gambling style interactions. So yeah, it should be done.
Yeah.
End of the story. Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby, what about you? What are you getting from this?
I think it's the right thing to do. Like we said last week, I said basically my opinions on what I thought of it, and that in my opinion, it's just straight up gambling. So yeah, like it's one of them. I can kind of see why they put it in originally, but now on the scale that it's at, how the industry's grown and everything, it's a bit too much, especially considering kids are getting involved in it. So it needs brought up, it needs to be looked at, and I think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think what I'm taking away from this, and I mentioned this to you guys earlier on in the week, is that the fact that the US are now involved in this, essentially the US government are getting involved. The words there mentioned was casino standards. If the US get involved in this, now the US is arguably probably the biggest percentage, apart from probably Japan, of the gaming industry in terms of consumers and everything. And what you've got to take into account here is that if this is being brought up by a US senator, if the US get hold of this, it means everyone else is going to look into it as well. We mentioned last week that Germany and Sweden were also looking into it. No disrespect to those countries, but they don't have a big enough footprint to make such a big impact. The US do, and I think the fact that this is happening could be good going forward for the loot box structure. It was reported last week, as I said, that Activision had earned $4 million just off microtransactions alone, and that's a lot of money. How many people out there are spending money that they haven't got? How many people out there are, going overdrawn, going into debt because of this addiction to the loot boxes? So I decided to sort of take this forward a little bit, and we've put a survey up on our Twitter page, and the response that we got so far is actually quite unanimous, really. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm looking at it, and the question put to our followers was, do you think loot boxes / microtransactions are ruining gaming in games that have an initial RRP? So I'm not talking about free-to-play, we're talking about games that you pay money for and then pay extra money on top of that. So, for example, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a prime example. It's a £50, $60 game that you pay on top of for microtransactions. The answers that were on offer were yes, no, and depends. On the depends one was please comment, as I wanted feedback from the followers. So the depends was 21%, and the main response from that was if it was cosmetic only, it wouldn't be a problem. But if it's play to win, that's where we have an issue. Mm-hmm. No was 20%, but yes was 59%. So 59% of people think that loot boxes and microtransactions are ruining gaming in games that have an initial RRP. So that says it all, really, and that gives us an idea of how people feel about them. So in terms of the US looking into this, I'm hoping that it leads to better things, and it leads to a more controlled sort of structure into the loot boxes. But we're going to move on because we seem to be discussing this sort of every week. I want to move on to something different. So, Russ, you brought this up, so I'm going to let you sort of go with it about this motocross issue. So just give the listeners a little bit of an insight as to what happened.
Yeah, so was reviewing Monster Energy Supercross, and I'm playing on an Xbox One S, and I noticed during my single player playthrough at the start of the races, when the gate drops, the game was freezing on the gate drop. Depending on the track, it'd be between 2 to 5 seconds. And then as you all barreled into the first corner, the game would suffer frame rate loss to the point of it'd stop, and then it'd carry on again. and the game would be all right through the rest of the race. You'd get one or two little spikes, mainly when you cross the start-finish line. So yeah, it was going to get mentioned anyway in the review. But then testing multiplayer, I jumped in with Bobby. Now Bobby's playing on an Xbox One X, and at the gate drop, I was having the issues of the game freezing, and Bobby wasn't. So when the game unfroze for me, he was already at the first corner and off and round, to the second straight. And we thought it was maybe just a one-off thing, but what we did notice was I was hosting that game, and the AI froze with me as well. So all the AI riders froze on the start-finish line, and Bobby was off around the corner. So we tested it again with Bobby as the host, and I froze on the start-finish line, and Bobby and the AI riders had all gone down to the first corner by the time I could get off the start. So it was, led me to think that maybe there's going to be some performance differences between the Xbox One X and a standard Xbox One. When it comes to multiplayer, are you going to have an advantage while playing on a One X?
Yeah. Bobby, what did you notice it? I mean, you sort of shot off in the distance, so yeah.
It was massive. I mean, the first corner, I think it was Las Vegas was the map we're playing on, and the first corner is quite a little bit away down. And I remember when it first happened, I thought that Russ just hadn't took off the line properly. So I'm heckling him to bits as I'm shooting down, because we all know Russ is going to beat us, especially on a racing game. So I'm heckling him to bits, flying down the corner.
You actually thought you was good at. You actually thought you was good at the game.
I thought I'd done something right, because I'm not very good at racing games. I'll admit that, and especially not at motorbike racing games like Supercross and Motocross. So Supercross, I'm not very good at it anymore, because it feels a hell of a lot tighter for us, because obviously the tracks are. So we took off, and I'm at the first corner, and I'm just like, I could win this. This is happening. And I'm more focused on the fact that he's behind us, and I'm out in front by a country mile, thinking get in, without realising what just happened until I hear a mumbling in the background, and I realised. So we went and had a look again. Now, I just want to put this out there to all developers. Whilst I'm playing in a private game with Russ, if you want to implement something that makes my Xbox One X run kind of like a lag switch so I can beat him, I'm all for it, as long as it's only in a private game against me and Russ. Once you put that out to the masses, that's when I've got to back up everyone else and say, no, it's wrong. But if you want to make that just for me, I'm 100% behind you and think that it is fantastic.
I mean, I think the point I was trying to get to was, like me and you discussed it, didn't we, Dave? It's a case of slightly lazy development. It's not been looked at properly on older consoles to be optimized properly. And in a game where you've got, I mean, you can overlook it if you're really into the game and it's just a single player experience. Yeah, there's for some frame rate drop, whatever. But if you're massively into the competitive multiplayer side of things, you're going to be at a disadvantage if you've not got on a One X. You might as well not bother playing it. So the playing field needs to be leveled out. I hope that they take a look at it and fix it. But I just thought it was worth bringing up and mentioning, because it's got the potential there of, you find one crack, and there's going to be more. The more we look into this sort of thing, we'll probably notice it even more in other games. So I think there's mentions of it, advantages on PUBG for one. Like the when you're landing and stuff loading in and not loading in is a lot different. Depending on which console you're on. So, I mean, obviously that game's got a bit of an exempt card because it's still in game preview. But when a game's fully released, it needs to be a level playing field. So yeah, the optimization needs to be there for those that are not on a One X.
I think the thing to take into account is, you said it there, that it was the development process, and we talked about this in length earlier on in the week. Digital Foundry recently did an assessment on Redout, the Lightspeed edition, and there was a big issue with the rendering, and the Redout developers had come out and said, what you've told us about our game is wrong. There's a scaler in there, it goes above 1080p. As Digital Foundry said, it only stuck at that. Basically what I'm getting at with that is the reason why Digital Foundry come to that conclusion is because they were judging it from the start of each race. Now, what the developers of Redout did very, very cleverly was their scaler started off low because on a racing game, the busiest time of the game is at the beginning.
Yeah.
All the cars are on screen at the same time, and they're all taking off at the same time. Now, Redout does a great job of downscaling that. It keeps it at 1080p till it reaches a certain part of the track, and then starts upscaling for the resolution on the X. What that does is it keeps things fair between consoles, and also stops juttering and frame rate dips at the beginning of the race, which is the most important part. What's clearly happened here, I mean, I say clearly happened, I might be completely wrong, but it sounds like there is no scaler at the beginning that separates the two machines. So rather than keeping the two a very standard resolution with the scaler at the start, the Xbox One X is automatically using that to its advantage.
Yeah.
So the stuttering that you're getting, Russ, start on the original console, the base console needs to be at a lower resolution to stop that from happening. So it's concerning in a way, but at the same time, I don't think it's anything that Microsoft will tolerate, because, you know, they've said in the past that there will be no advantages by having the X compared to the base consoles in terms of online play. But clearly here, Russ, you said it, didn't you? If anybody's really into this game and he's really good at this game, having the X and playing a bunch of people that are on the base console, they're going to have a serious advantage.
Yeah, of course.
Did you play any other online matches where you could notice this going on? Could you tell the X players from?
It was because we was reviewing it pre-release, and we had an embargo date to stick to. Plus, we had to provide coverage that day of release to the PR contact. They was quite strict about what they wanted from your coverage for it. So it was just me and Bobby, but we did play multiple games just to make sure it wasn't just a one-off thing. But like I say, it was happening in single player as well, same sort of spots, different variations. I mean, if you take a look at, I took some footage of it. It's on the dashboard, you know, using the inbuilt capture device on the Xbox One. I've got a capture from me being the host and a capture from Bobby being the host, just from the two of the races that we did. And also in my video, you can see the single player, the same issues on there, but it was varying depending on what the track it was on. It seemed to be the larger tracks you'd get more. Obviously, the game's got to cope with more loading in as you start off. But yeah, it needs to be sorted out, doesn't it? You know, it could be just a small error on the developer's part, something they've overlooked, and once they're made fully aware of it, they'll probably fix it. But again, you know, it's things like that. I had to mention it in my review because I'd come across it, and because of that issue, it scored less than I wanted it to. I mean, for that game is the best, because they're quite well known for their motocross games. Milestone, that is probably their best game to date, but that issue took away from the score that I wanted to give it. So
I might be getting a little bit lost but did you mention, I don't know if you've mentioned this, Russ, but you literally got me to load it up and play through a few bits of the game to see because I didn't have the lag in the first corner that you kept getting when you were
That
playing.
was true as well. Yeah, I got you to play some single player as well, didn't I? Because I was adamant that it was just an issue with the game. I even sent an email in to ask the question, is it an own issue? But I never got a response for it.
And even the music skipping as well.
Yeah,
that
was
one I never
strange.
ever had.
I mean, the loading times was massively different, but as we discussed, that's to be expected. It's something you just have to put up with having an older, slightly slower console. But the music skipping during the loading was terrible, and I didn't get why it was doing it. I'm playing a digital version of the game. Why is the music skipping like it's on a CD? It was odd, really odd. But the main thing obviously being the performance difference while actually playing.
Yeah, we did play about five online games, I think, as well. But obviously, we only recorded when we first noticed it. We recorded the first two issues. In all five, it was the same every time. I would shoot off either with the AI, or if Russ was hosting, I would shoot off without him and the AI at the start. So it pretty much big bug.
Yeah. But let's hope that this doesn't become a regular thing, like you said, Russ. You know, if this becomes a regular thing and gets missed, sort of pre and post development, you know, it's going to give ex players a bit of an advantage, which we don't want. At the end of the day, we want, you know, a completely clean sort of slate, even platform, and you know, we need things to be equal going forward online with that. Disappointing the developers never got back to you, because I would have thought that developers...
Well, it wasn't. I didn't email
reporting on their
directly to the
game.
developers. I just emailed my contact for it, which is like a third party PR.
Right, okay.
But
Yeah.
often you do get quite a bit of good feedback that way, and emails get sent back and forth, and usually you do get responses. I mean, I did the same for a Semblance indie game a couple of weeks back. I sent an issue in that I had, and it's something that they'd missed. So I was the first to report this bug, and they actually got on and fixed it. So yeah, it does work.
Fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. Well, let's hope that this is fixed going forward, because despite that, you give it an 8.2, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, I wanted to give it a 9, but I had to downmark it because of its performance issues. So yeah.
Apart from that, it's still a good game. People should check it out, and hopefully the developers sort of, cotton onto this and hopefully fix that issue.
Yep.
Moving on then, what we've got coming up, the dates, I believe, is the 23rd until the 25th of February is our GameBlast18 stream, where we're raising money for the charity Special Effects. Really, really, they're a great charity. I can't speak highly enough of them. We raised money for them last year. The things that they do are absolutely fantastic, and they deserve a hell of a lot of credit. So we're going to be raising money for Special Effects 23rd until the 25th of February. Russ and Bobby, I'm going to start with you. Do you just want to go through, for anybody that sort of missed our streams last year, do you just want to give them an introduction as to what we do and the kind of things that we're going to have going on?
Yeah, so just like last year, we're going to stream for 3 days, 12 hours per day from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. We're going to be, we say auctioning off or raffling off, but in reality, it's we've got a list of codes, you make a donation and you get a code. They're all set in different price structures. And if you would like to see them, I can give you the link in a second when it loads for us, because I forgot to click on it. To see the list of games that we have available is at xboxgamerreviews.com/XGR-GameBlast18. If you go on there, or if you just go to xboxgamerreviews.com and it's on the homepage, you can scroll down and we have embedded a little Google spreadsheet with a list of codes going from £2 donations all the way up to £20 donations. They are live and active right now. We'll put them up, I think it was the back end of last week. And so far we have raised a grand total of £147 towards our £600 target. If you do just want to give a donation, you can go to www.justgiving.com/XboxGamerReviews2018. Yes, Russ, I put the W's in because I know it would bug you. But yeah, we're going to be streaming from the 23rd to the 25th of February from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. The three of us, and we've got some other guys streaming with us from the XGR team, all different kinds of games. I think we're going to be streaming a few of the games of what we've got codes available for, but we're going to try and keep it more up to date and as many cooperative games as we can, so we can all be involved and have fun whilst we're doing it.
Brilliant stuff. So if anybody was around last year, you'd probably know that the streams that we did, we had some fun, we had a good laugh, and we raised some money for a great cause, and it was fun. It was really good. It was enjoyable, and loads of people came in and interacted with our streams, joined in the chat rooms, and yeah, it was really, really good. Last year we had the customized controller, but this year, Russ, we've got something a little bit extra special, haven't we?
Yeah, so as you just said, last year we auctioned off a custom-made Game Blast controller that was done by our good friend over at Extreme Consoles. We raised, was it over £80 for that? Last year it was in the region.
I believe, yeah.
But this year we've managed to get hold of the much coveted Idea Xbox controller pillow. You can't buy them anywhere, and everybody wants one, and we've got our hands on one for you guys to come along. We haven't set a time or anything yet, but just keep your eyes peeled, come and join us, and we'll announce the auction for that. So that will be an auction item during one of our streams over the weekend.
And included in those streams is Mr. Bobby Fails, who lost a bet about Anthem being released this year.
I thought you were going to forget about it.
No. I've actually engraved it on the inside of my lenses on my spectacles.
I thought you were going to say something
Bobby
else.
must play. Well, no. It's a PG show. You can't do that. But anyway, Bobby's going to be streaming. Have we decided whether you're going to do Emily Wants to Play, or are you going to stream something different? Maybe
there's a couple of horror
games
that I knew that I might take a look at. Rather than Emily Wants to Play, but I will be streaming a horror game. We're actually gonna have a chat after this podcast about which game it's gonna be. That's what we're gonna have to do now because I thought you forgot about it. But yeah, I'll be streaming a horror game. I'm probably gonna go on camera. As a lot of people will know who listen to a podcast who've seen us stream before, I'm not good with horror games. The last time I streamed Emily Wants to Play, I nearly put my head through my television when I jumped and I pulled a little huff and turned the stream off. And yeah, and I done Resident Evil 7. Was that what
you did last year?
Yeah, I done Resident 7 last
year.
I
will put in there that you left it till the last minute so you could stream as little as possible. This year, that's not happening.
I did, yes.
And
I was like, look,
because
there's only 30 minutes left, we'll have to get on something else.
Yeah, the thing is as well, that was a bit of a cop-out because he'd already watched you play it, Russ, when you streamed it upon its release. So he kind of knew what was coming.
Yeah.
So you need to play something that you haven't touched yet, that you haven't seen.
But it doesn't take away from the fact, even though I knew where the jump scares were coming, I was still petrified. I was still screaming like a little girl. Like, it still scares us. I'm not a horror fan. I don't even watch horror films. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna pick something. We're going to pick something scary, but not too scary, I hope, because I don't want to pull a huff when we're doing a charity stream and turn it off.
Maybe we could come up with a list of maybe 3 or 4 and let the listeners decide what you stream.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Good. Maybe me and Russ could do a co-op stream, and we could do, like, I don't know, white noise, Russ. That was scary.
No.
He knows I like doing co-op streams when it's horrors. I don't like being by myself.
If anybody wants to donate underpants, they can do. Bobby's going to need them.
I'm going to need a lot. And adult nappies might just be the win instead of underpants. I might just move everything into the bathroom. I might just move everything into the bathroom as I'm doing the stream. Yeah,
you'll probably get through them that quick that you'll have to borrow your dad's.
Borrow me dad's pants.
I think we'll let the listeners decide. So keep your eye on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, we will post up. We'll have a discussion after this podcast, and we will post up the games that we've come up with, and we'll do a poll and let our listeners and followers decide what Bobby gets to stream on Game Blast weekend. And I believe you're going to have the camera on as well, aren't you, Bobby? Because the Xbox takes a regular USB camera, so
no excuses.
We'll get to see him. No excuses. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. That is going to be fantastic. Are you looking forward to it, Bobby?
Nah, not in the slightest. It all depends, because I got into Resi 7 when I streamed it last time. I started really getting into it. So
Resi 7's off the list.
Depending on the game.
Yeah,
Resi 7's off. I've done it last year. But depending on the game, if it's something that I can get into, even though it's scary as hell, then I might be a little bit... I might enjoy it a little bit, but it all depends.
We will discuss. I can feel Bobby trembling now.
I really forgot. I was thinking, I'm in getting away with it.
Yeah, it wasn't an earthquake in Wales the other day. It was Bobby shaking in his boots.
I'm going to put a sickie in over Game Blast.
You can't do that. It's for charity.
Yeah.
For a great cause. And it is, joking aside, it is for a fantastic cause. They are. I've said it before, and I'll emphasise it again. Special effect, the things that they do. Go and check them out. If you don't know much about special effects, just go to Google, type in special effect charity, and just have a look at all the great things that they do. It's absolutely fantastic, and Game Blast is really a great cause. So you know what time it is, don't you, Bobby?
What time is it, Dave?
It's time for Bobby Fails presents Something for the Weekend.
So this week in Something for the Weekend, we're going to take a look at Claybook. It is currently available in the preview program, priced at £11.99, which is $14.99 or €14.99. Claybook is kind of like an open, unique world, and everything's made of clay. You play as a clay shape, so to speak, and you can change your shape on your D-pad to various different ones to help you climb around the level. It has loads of different challenges that you have to take part in, from stamping your clay object as a block to getting it to certain areas. There is also other clay shapes that you can get a hold of on the level, including a rocket, which is really difficult to fly. For all you achievement hunters out there, it isn't too hard to complete the game in 1000G. As I say, it's in the preview program at the minute. I don't have a release date for when it's going to be out, but I've had heaps of fun playing it. You should really check it out.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mr. Fails. This Something for the Weekend has become quite popular, hasn't it?
Almost to the point of other podcasts taking the idea and running with it.
Yes. Interesting.
Well, at least we know other people are listening to us.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They're trying to live up to our standard.
That's it, mate.
Fantastic.
Next, they're going to start doing horror streams of someone who's really, really scared of them, aren't they? That's what they'll do next.
Yeah, someone doing a horror stream while wearing their dad's pants.
Basically, eh? Do you think I should just send them some Xbox Gamer Reviews merch so they can wear it in the stream? Just, you know.
Maybe. Oh, but we should take it as a compliment, fellas. That's all I'm saying.
Of course.
Brilliant. Yeah. Russ, do you want to do plugin of the website and streaming channels and social media?
Yeah, so don't forget to check out our reviews, news and giveaways on the website. That's xboxgamerreviews.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Xbox_GR. Facebook too, that's facebook.com/XboxGamerReviews. And all our videos on YouTube, it's youtube.com/XboxGamerReviews.com.
Fantastic. Game Blast, are we going to be doing that on Mixer?
We are, yes.
Yes, we are.
So that's mixer.com/XboxGamerReviews. Don't forget to head over there. Don't forget to hit that follow button now as well so you can get notifications when we go live over the weekend.
Wonderful stuff.
I just want to put in before we end this one, right? Slime Rancher is a really scary game.
No, it's not.
Really scary if you haven't checked it out. That should be the game that I stream.
No, you're not. That's his favourite
Don't
game
be
of all
daft.
time, Dave. He's not streaming that at all.
Oh. We want something that is going to make you, like, it's going to terrify you. It's going to haunt you in your sleep. We want to see you and hear you scream live on stream.
You know that episode of South Park where Randy Marsh has that giant poo and he sort of swivels all the way up as it comes out? It's that big. That's what
you want to see.
That's what you to be
That's
like.
what you want to see. Last time I streamed a horror game, it generally did scare us to a point where I was messaging Russ saying like, this isn't right. I'm quite scared for this.
Good. That's the whole idea. You shouldn't make bets. You knew deep down when you predicted Anthem would be released this year. You knew deep down that it wouldn't be.
I'm sending a strongly worded email to the developers, me. I really am. I've lost a bet. I'm going to send an email today.
Maybe they'll tune in. Maybe they'll donate. You never know. Right. Let's wrap it up there. Thanks everybody for listening, and if you're a current subscriber, thank you very much. If not, please subscribe, whether that's on iTunes, Android or YouTube. We really, really do appreciate it. And we're all off now to check out where we can get a big pile of new pants for Bobby for when he does his stream. So we will catch you later. See you all.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.